Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Sigval here and welcome back to another video. So in this one we're going to basically rank all the soul raids that were released so far, from the hardest to the easiest soul raids. It's not gonna be necessarily a ranking for new players or for free-to-play players or for pay-to-win players. It's gonna be for everybody because for the most part, no matter what resources you have or don't have at your disposal, a difficult soul raid is gonna be a difficult soul raid no matter what. So yeah, I'm going to try to do this ranking the best I can. Keep in mind, this is just my personal and biased opinion and is not necessarily the correct one. So if you got a different one, please do let me know in the comments and we might have a discussion about it. But yeah, let's get into it. All the footage that you're going to see in this video is going to be from Alton's channel. Who is Alton? So Alton is a person who plays in Just 2 Mobile and simply uploads their full soul raid experience. So this man's channel is going to be basically an encyclopedia of soul raids. You're going to even see full soul raids like from second one to last second. Like look at this, 2 hours and 43 minutes of pure soul raid action. So if at any point you don't remember what the boss did specifically, or if it did something specifically, check out my boy Alton, check out this channel, and thanks so much for allowing me to use your footage. I mean, I got that permission like 1 year ago and we haven't talked since, so hope that's still a thing, but I'll put a link in the description, the pinned comment. Definitely check my man out. His channel is just beyond amazing as far as an encyclopedia for soul raids. Coming in at number 1, we have Dawn of Apocalypse Soul Raid. This is easily the hardest soul raid out there because of 2 reasons. So first of all, the bosses in Dawn of Apocalypse are hard. And there's absolutely no mistake about it and no arguing about it. Those are overall not necessarily a single boss is the harder boss or the most annoying boss in Just 2 Mobile, simply the combination of everything. Boss Harley in tier 1, we have 2 characters with super shields in tier 3, we have boss Green Lantern at the end of tier 3, we have boss Last of Joker, we have a tier 5 that has a Lord Joker and a Manta with Chaos Tag in. Reverse Flash was very annoying, and we have Darkseid to end everything off. Like, this thing is just a menace to deal with, and I think this would take the first spot as the most difficult soul raids if we were to get bonuses of the artifacts split to the entire team, but the bonuses in this one don't split to the entire team, so it means that you're going to have to equip your firebox or your high level raid specific artifact on your actual damage dealer in order to get the benefit out of the attack part. So you're gonna be locked into using that artifact, not being able to get so many benefits that along the way made so many of our soul raids far easier than they used to be, because we got convenience stuff like Dark Metal cards that allows you to bypass crit resistance. We get more percentage hull damage, though you can do that in Dawn of Apocalypse, but you get the point. This is by far the hardest and the most inconvenient and the longest one to basically grind out and walk through. I think, and don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily have anything against hard soul raids. I am all for having a challenge and learning from that challenge and becoming a better player, but when you combine that with not splitting bonuses of the artifacts, that's just not good, and it becomes a slogfest and an annoying one at that. So Dawn of Apocalypse takes the number 1 for the hardest soul raid by far, and I don't think there's much arguing about that. Coming in at number 2 for the hardest soul raid, we're going to have Rise of Krypton, and at other points in time I would have considered this the hardest one, even though the artifact bonuses on this did split from the day 1 of release, and the artifact bonuses on Dawn of Apocalypse did not split from day 1 and still don't. This used to be far harder in the past. It's still quite hard and quite annoying, but now there's a lot of other ways to bypass a lot of the inconveniences here. So we got slapped with a very bad one here, because after Dawn of Apocalypse was released, they were like, nah bro, it is simply not enough to have bosses with their normal mechanics. We need more ways to make them take more to kill those bosses. And in order to do that, they went ahead and did a lot of bosses with resistances, with crit resistances, with lethal resistances, with stun resistances, and to top everything off, we had finally boss Superman, who's, as far as I remember, crit resistance crit resistant, stun resistant, lethal resistant, dot resistant, high defense, immune to armor pierce, and turns your buff into debuff. Not sure he's lethal resistant though that was kind of worthless because Batman Ninja Team, because he would turn your debuffs into dots. Batman Ninja Team and Manta literally were killing themselves by hitting the enemy. That was quite annoying, and the only way to bypass that at that point was to use an artifact, which was pay to win, and get and pay money to unlock, and that was the LexCorp Warsuit, which is an artifact that was not too much useful in other parts of the game, except for that specifically. So this has been overall, I think, throughout the history of Injustice Mobile, the most hated soul raid, and it was for good reason. It is the point where the artifacts got paid to win, actually, because before that in Dawn of Apocalypse, even though you were gonna have a relatively hard time maxing out artifacts and getting the artifacts, all of the artifacts were in a chest. With Rise of Krypton, that's where it began, where the artifacts were no longer in chest. The only thing you could buy was the resource to upgrade them with gems, and that was an unfair chest too. So yeah, I still hate Rise of Krypton with the burning passion, but it got more chill with time, because now we got so much percentage health damage to work with Nora's Snow Globe on Kinflan, Suckman, and Deathstroke, and we have Dark Metal cards, which mitigates the resistances and all the annoying stuff that all the other bosses did. And Nightmare Batman, Nightmare Batman, a boss that's like a Batman character with a stun bump, with a lot of resistances to all kinds of things, and with Chaos tagging, was for a long time one of the most hated sub-bosses, but someone else took that cake. But the other someone was not enough to put that specific story that he's in as a harder story. But I think Rise of Krypton overall is also a grind, a slog, and not that fun. Not that fun overall, but far more fun nowadays in Dawn of Apocalypse, because it's gonna be relatively easier in terms of gameplay. It used to be more grindy because you would have a lot of bosses that resisted everything, but nowadays you can kind of bypass that. So it basically got retroactively patched with the introduction of new artifacts that make it more bearable, but still not a good soul raid and not an easy soul raid. Coming in at number 3, as the hardest soul raid, we have Advent of Chaos, and this is arguable. It's the next one, a little bit of a spoiler, is gonna be on ice. And look, if you value Boss Black Lightning as being more annoying than the entirety of Advent of Chaos soul raids, then look, that's your opinion, and I can respect that. But if you don't think Boss Black Lightning is more annoying than the entirety of Advent of Chaos, then this definitely takes the cake. And I promise I'm not just going on release dates, because this is literally the order that they got released, but it just happens this is kind of the order in regards to how hard they are. So this thing had a lot of issues. So the final boss, with Boss Superman, they were like, oh, he's pretty chill because he's only resistant to dot damage, and people still find a way to bypass that. How do we make a boss take so much longer for people to kill without having to engage with any active mechanics? Just make them a damage sponge that literally takes a ton of damage until it's killed. Well, there we go. We got Boss Raven, who's crit immune, lethal immune, dot immune. Good luck fighting that. And to top it all off, we also had a lot of annoying sub-bosses. The tier 5 is one of the more inconvenient tier 5s, because in this tier 5 we have a Black Lightning boss that can one-shot you at one mistake, because he's got Berserk ability, and giving Berserk ability to the most right boss in the last tier, because that's the boss out of all the sub-bosses that has the most attack, is a terrible idea. And other than Black Lightning one-shotting your ass, you had Boss Starfire being very annoying herself, having a lot of resistances, and constantly dealing dot damage to you. And all the tier 5 sub-bosses, even though other than Black Lightning nobody was too notable, all of them were annoying and not convenient to fight in one way or another. And then you get to Raven, and Raven is not even that hard. Like, she can be hard if you can't combo interrupt, if you're not playing that well, which is fine. We don't have to all play perfectly, but she's just a damage sponge, and she is to an extent still that to this day. I don't like Advent of Chaos, but I do find it far more bearable than Rise of Krypton and Dawn of Apocalypse, but I do find it less bearable than On Ice soul raids. But some of you, and I know why, might disagree with that, and that might be because of Boss Black Lightning. But yeah, let's move on. Coming in at number 4 as the hardest soul raids, we have on ice soul raids. Also known as, how can you make a boss so annoying and so frustrating to deal with that an entire soul raid is gonna be hated because of it alone? In on ice soul raids, most of the bosses are gonna be chill enough. You might encounter some difficulties here and there, you might get one-shotted here and there, you might have a hard time here and there, but there's nothing notable about it. You're just going to walk through the soul raids and do a few mistakes here and there, and when you play it again, you're gonna expect those things and have a way to counteract those mistakes. But then you see boss Black Lightning, and I don't know, bro, I don't know who had the idea of making this fight a Chaos Tagging fight with Black Lightning as the main character, because Black Lightning has got that interesting specialty that's going to lock you into a cage, also disables bonuses for might characters, so new players who are just spamming Qplant Sakumen trying to get all the way here are gonna reach here and they're gonna get their king one shot in a few seconds. That's definitely fun design and interactive design, and with this man's Taggins at a lot of points there's simply absolutely no counterplay for a lot of people, or especially for new players. And this sucked. This is, I think, the most hated sub-boss in the history of Injustice 2 Mobile, and let me know in the comments if you do agree with this. Do you think there's any sub-boss, not main boss, any sub-boss that is more annoying and more frustrating than boss Black Lightning? I mean, some other variants would be Black Adam, or Arkham Knight Batman from RS Krypton, or at the very least Purple Armor Batman, because he's not really Arkham Knight Batman, but you get what I'm saying. That on Ice Sword is honestly not that hard and pretty chill. Mr. Freeze has predictable enough mechanics to go around, but Black Lightning makes it so that this is just frustrating to deal with, and this was off to a rocky start because in Dawn of Apocalypse, we didn't split bonuses to the entire team on artifacts. Then every single soul raid until on Ice soul raids did split the bonuses from the artifacts. And then with on Ice, they were like, oh, would we sell more artifacts if we didn't split the bonuses? And they got a huge backlash because of that, and they reverted it with the next update. But it was nightmare for the first few days. But yeah, with that being said, on Ice Swords is bearable without boss Black Lightning. This is gonna be the sole reason why this sword is gonna be hard and annoying, and it's gonna be a moment that maybe one of the biggest moments in Injustice Mobile of rage quits. At this point, we're gonna switch the kind of counter for the soul raids, and we're gonna have the third least hard soul raid at this point because we only have 3 of them left, and I'm gonna put Dark Knight soul raids at this point and this number specifically. And with Dark Knight soul raids, yet again, you're gonna encounter some annoying bosses here and there. It's all gonna be pretty chill until you reach tier 5, where you're gonna have to deal with Dot Immune Harley, which has been made so much easier by the introduction of Battle on the Drowned, because she's not immune to Hazard Dot, and the boss Atrocitus with Chaos Tagging. Like, if boss Black Lightning was the worst idea of a Chaos Tagging boss Atrocitus is surely the second worst idea, because this man deals a lot of damage, deals a lot of dot damage, has a lot of times where it's literally impossible to counterplay it and it just feels frustrating. And when you get past this dude, you get to boss Battle Laughs, and I don't hate boss Battle Laughs by any means. I don't think he is necessarily a bad boss or too hard of a boss. He's simply a boss that's going to be a little bit more mechanically demanding to beat, and it's gonna be a bit annoying on the higher heroics because he just literally one-shots most of the characters just by using his special 2, which is gonna be a little bit armor pierce, not really armor pierce, but removing all your armor, so armor sundering, so that's kind of the same thing. You're gonna have to lock him into an infinite combo, but if you lock him into an infinite combo, you're just gonna constantly hit on the poison hazard that he's able to apply, and your characters will get turned. And he is immune to stun, so one shot from the League of Anarchy plus Raven will not be viable. Yet again, I don't hate the soul raid. I think this soul raid is quite entertaining. I think it's not that hard overall. You just have to be a little bit more careful, and it will take a little bit more time to fight boss Pedonflavs. But at the same time, I really like boss Pedonflavs because it manages to be challenging in a way that encourages counterplay, where you have to make active decisions to bypass his mechanics and make sure your characters don't die or don't get turned without abusing any ridiculous modifiers like immune to everything like Raven does. So I do like Dark Knight Soul Raids, but it's not the easiest of the bunch, it's not the hardest of the bunch, kind of above average in terms of how easy it is overall. Coming in at number 2 as the least hard soul raid, we have This Is Magic Soul Raid. And you might be like, Sigvald, how are you not putting this at number 1? I'm gonna say only one thing, stun bug. Currently you're playing the soul raid with the stun bug active. There is a bug in the game that allows you to stun any boss in the game, and in the future obviously that will get removed because the hazardous thing is there for a reason. There's a reason why some bosses are going to be immune to some certain things like stun, and that will be fixed eventually. So that's the only thing I'm saying. First of all, you're playing the easy difficulties because nobody got into high heroics yet because it's been out for such a short time, and some things you don't want to face in hard difficulties like boss Flash, boss Multiverse Armored Supergirl, boss Starfire. That might be a little bit of a problem to deal with, and yeah, second of all, the final boss is not going to be immune to stun, so yet again, you're gonna have to deal with Zatanna's mechanics, and the mechanic that gives her more damage is just gonna make it worse and worse to face her the higher the difficulties go. And overall, this is the second easiest soul raid, so it might seem like I'm going too hard on it, but I'm not really. I'm just saying it's gonna be a little bit harder than it seems as people get into higher heroics, and as soon as you can't stun every goddamn thing in the entire soul raid. I'm just saying, it might seem easier than it is, and I think this is the second easiest soul raid, or at the very least will be. Or objectively speaking is, I don't know, man. I just wanted to put this as the second easiest because I feel like the one on the last tier is gonna be by far the easiest. And coming in at number 1 as the easiest soul raid, we have the Last Contract soul raid, and there's a few reasons. First of all, none of the bosses are really that memorable. They're not gonna do that much. I think there's a pretty annoying Atrocitus in this soul raid as well that has a permanent special too, so that's a little bit annoying to deal with. I think there's a Grodd that has some resistances, but you can bypass it with Dark Metal cards if you know how to deal with the super shields. And this has the easiest tier 5 sub-bosses. Like, they're not gonna be the most convenient ones in the world to fight, but none of them is really a challenge. None of them is really memorable, like, boy, I really struggled with this. And Deathstroke can be pretty annoying, but he's gonna become unchoppable, so you're gonna be able to do that. And he is not resistant to stuns. So what you can do is just use League of Anarchy plus Raven and stun the crap out of this man, and there's absolutely nothing that he's gonna be able to do. And since we got the Dark Metal cards to bypass this man's crit resistance, the League of Anarchy is gonna do more damage than ever, and this is Deathstroke himself, alongside with the Soul Raid, in my humble opinion, being the easiest. I think Deathstroke himself is also the easiest final boss to deal with, or at the very least the fastest to deal with, because arguably if we play it correctly as far as the gameplay demand goes, Raven is gonna be easier, but it's gonna take more fights because of the resistances that she's got. But as far as gameplay and countering the mechanics of the character, Raven's gonna be easier than Deathstroke. But as far as how fast we're gonna go through this, I think Deathstroke is the easiest final boss and the Last Contract is the easiest soul raid out of them all. But again, this is my opinion only, so feel free to contradict me in the comments and let me know what you think. And this was it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and huge thanks for Alton for allowing me to use his footage. Again, links to his channel will be in the description pinned comment. And yeah, thanks so much for watching again, and goodbye!